going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing good. Well, today is 20th of February and the time right now is 6 o'clock in the morning, and I am out on a breakfast ride. Today is Sunday and today is gonna be a Sunday ride. So the first rule of business is to get fueled up, which I have already done, and the second rule of business is to reach at the meeting location. So let's quickly get to the meeting location because I'm already late, and by the title of the video you already know what I'm gonna talk about today. So yep, that is the whole motive and the topic of making this video. So we'll start that, but first let me get to the meeting location because I'm already late. I'll see you in a short while.
This is your fucking captain speaking.
So I'm here at the riding location, and here's my bike, and we have Harley, Royal Enfield Classic and a Royal Enfield Himalayan. So let's get started and roll towards our destination. Okay boys, so let's start off today's video, the actual topic of today's video. I was actually waiting for the daylight to show up because I wanted to record in the daylight, but I feel by the time I wait for the daylight I'll be already at my destination. Now, talking about the three things that I actually love about this bike, and I feel no other bike in this category, in this segment, can actually replace the things that this bike delivers. Now the first one being obviously the power. Now this bike makes 45 bhp. I'm talking about the BS3 version which I have with me, and not the BS4 or BS6. So the BS3 from the factory makes 45 bhp and 37 or maybe 38 Nm of torque. So that is pretty insane considering the price point at this bike comes in, and on top of that this bike is single cylinder, high compression engine. So I think this is a class leading bike in this category, in this segment. Now all that power is not usable or is of no use if the bike does not handle well. Now second off is the handling. The way this bike handles is like something else. There is no surprise that this is the most popular choice for anyone who wants to start off with their track journey. And if anyone wants to learn how to ride on track, this is the bike they choose. So I have ridden this bike in every sort of situation you can imagine, be it mountain trails, mountain twisties, mud, rain, slush. I have even taken this bike off-roading, and I do highway runs most often. So any situation and every situation I put this bike in, this bike only impresses me. So from the handling department, I think it is doing more than it is supposed to. Now talking about the brakes on the bike, well, this is one of those things which I absolutely felt that the kind of power that this bike produces, the brakes are not adequate or not enough to handle the power that this bike makes. So the BS3 which I have with me here came with 300 mm rotor in the front and 240 something at the rear, and on top of that it came with organic brake pads. Now if you know anything about organic pads, they do not work well, but you can actually solve that issue by replacing it with Brembo pads or EBC pads, which are sintered pads, and the Brembo pads actually come standard on the BS4 and the BS6 model, so you will have no hard time sourcing them. So after I replaced it with the Brembo or the EBC pads, I was really happy with the brakes, and I did not feel that the rotor, the 300 mm, is smaller and I want to go for the 320 mm. So the braking department is also sorted. Now as I'm talking about the things that I love on the bike, it would be incomplete if I do not talk about the looks on the bike. When I was searching for a new bike last year, the one thing that I had in my mind was the bike that I'll get, it should look good. and no doubt RC checks all the check boxes that I had as my requirement. So the bike from the factory comes really sharp looking, but to make it look even more sharper, I did some mods here and there. So talking about the rear, the first thing that you should obviously and always do is remove the tail tidy. Actually not the tail tidy, remove the actual tail on the bike and replace that with a tail tidy unit. And to make it look even more sharper, I made a custom seat cowl. Now if you haven't watched the video of making the custom seat cowl, I'll link that in the cards over there at the top of the video, so do check that out. Now the rear end of the bike is sharp, but what about the front? I added winglets on the front of the bike. I don't know if you're able to see or not. The winglets makes the bike look a bit broad. In my opinion, the stock RC looks a bit narrow. Winglets do add a fair bit of dimensions to the bike, which I absolutely love. So the looks are sorted and the brakes are sorted. The power is already insane. The handling is good. What else? Is there anything that I do not like on the bike? Well, yes, there is. The first off, the very obvious thing is the vibrations. Now let me make one thing clear. I'm not talking about the vibrations on the engine. I'm actually talking about the vibrations which comes from the body panels. Let me show you how. You see this point over here? This is the point where the mirror bolts down to the body, and in between is the visor. Now the problem here is that if you bolt down the mirror too tightly with the body, the visor starts to crack over here, which you can actually see. The problem with that is once the visor starts to crack, it starts to make rattling noises, which absolutely kills the whole riding experience. Now apart from vibrations, I don't feel there is any other flaw on this bike, but there are two more things that I would like to address in this video, which most of the RC owners that you will meet will tell you about. Now first one being the seat. Most of the RC owners will tell you that the seat is way too hard to sit on. But then again, if you're planning to buy this bike, or if you already own this bike, you should know that this is the bike which is supposed to be ridden on track and not to munch highway miles. So it is very natural that the seat will be hard. If you know anything about track bikes, the seat is actually wooden plank, which actually makes it easier to move around while you are turning or leaning into the corner. So if the seat is hard, it is actually there for a purpose. The second one being the heating issue. Now most of the 390 owners will tell you that the bike heats up a lot. Well, again, this is a 373cc single cylinder high compression engine, and if you know anything about high compression engines, they do tend to heat up a lot. But then again, if you are way too concerned about the heating issues on the bike, I think you should get a better engine oil, a better coolant, and you should get a higher CPM fan. And combining these three things will actually solve the heating issues on the bike. And the very last thing most of the RC owners will tell you is that the aggressive riding position. Well, I do not want to comment on this one because again, this is a super sport. If you do not like the aggressive riding position, then you should have not bought this bike in the first place. So yeah, that basically sums up my ownership experience with the bike, and so far I've had zero issues, touch wood. But if you think I missed any small point or you want me to address any particular point on the bike, then do leave a comment in the comments down below and I'll make sure I'll address that. So yeah, with that said, I'm gonna close this video right here right now, and I hope you find this video useful if you're planning to buy this bike or if you already own this bike. So as always, let nothing hold you back in life, and always keep moving forward. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Let me check what time it is. Oh, it's time for a daily 100.
Last but not least, I want to thank me.